Hello, and welcome to me talking about more Pokemon Draft League content. I just finished with my performance of the Pokemon Burn Tower Draft League Season 4 in a National Dex division, but I have joined a different league called the Castelia Draft League, which takes place in the Omega Ruby and Alpha Sapphire. We're going to be doing it like on an emulator, so that'll be very fun and cool. I have drafted my team. This video is essentially just going to be me talking about the team that I drafted and basically like a draft analysis of it, like me analysing my team, what was good about it, what could be done better, stuff like that. Of course, I am the Fet Cat, coach of the Zippy Zaps. And I'll just get into the team now. The very first Pokemon I drafted is Weavile. For a multitude of reasons. I wanted a really fast Pokemon with a good speed tier that could also have the potential to input insane damage. So Weavile was the first Pokemon I went for. It cost 16 points to draft, which I would say is pretty fair. It is a very fast and strong physical attacker. It's got moves like Knock Off, and Icicle Crash, Ice Punch for a more accurate ice move to hit really hard. Like I said, it's got very good speed, 125 speed means that not a lot will be able to outspeed it. Dark and Ice is really good typing to have offensively pairing together. Like I said, Knock Off is very nice to have. I have priority moves like Ice Shard and Quick Attack, so even though I'm this fast, you never know if I might fight against a Pokemon that's trying to boost their speed, or one that is actually faster than me, or something holding a Choice Scarf, so I can still have moves like Ice Shard and Quick Attack for priority. And of course, it does also get Sword Stance, so it does have potential to sweep with a set with like Sword Stance, Life Orb, or Focus Sash, stuff like that. So yeah, that was the first Pokemon I decided to draft. He's very cool. I've never actually used Weavile in draft before, so I'm very much looking forward to putting him in action. Of course, in this metagame, Stealth Rock is very prevalent, and he is weak to Rock. Weavile is weak to Rock, so it will be difficult switching him in. But I think you just have to be careful positioning Weavile, and if you can position him correctly, he is incredibly strong. Because Heavy Duty Boots doesn't actually exist in this metagame. The reason why Stealth Rock is so good is because, well, just hazards in general, really. Spikes, Toxic Spikes, Stealth Rock. The reason why they're so good is because there's no Heavy Duty Boots in this meta, which means that the only way you can not take damage from hazards is by not having them on the field or being a Pokemon with the ability Magic Guard. But, like, you know, there's few Pokemon who get that, so it's not that big of a deal. So you basically just have to. The whole metagame is based around getting up hazards and trying to keep You're trying to get up your hazards, and you're trying to prevent your opponent from getting their own hazards up and removing theirs. Because of that metagame, it will be very difficult to use Weavile correctly, but if you can position him correctly, he can be an absolute menace. So I'm very much looking forward to using my Weavile. And the Pokemon I decided to draft after Weavile is Ferrothorn. Ferrothorn is a Pokemon I've used before. I used him in my very first draft league alongside many other powerful Pokemon, and this was also the first draft league that I did that I actually won the entire thing, and it was largely due to my Ferrothorn, who has incredibly good defensive typing, really good stats. Grass Steel is an amazing typing. Even got like a respectable attack stat, and it's got decent offensive moves too. Like because it's so slow, it can use Gyro Ball, which will usually turn into a 120 base power move, because that gets more powerful the slower you are than your opponent. It caps out at 120 base power, but that is an incredibly strong move to put on a Pokemon with base 85 attack. Sorry, 95. I don't think 95 isn't necessarily high, but on a Pokemon that's meant to be defensive, it's going to be good, you know. Of course, the main thing about this Pokemon is the fact that it gets access to so many utility moves. Stealth Rock, Spikes, Leech Seed, Thunder Wave, Toxic, all types of moves like that. It's really, really annoying to deal with because it's difficult to take down unless you have a strong fire or fighting type. And if you don't have something that can deal with Ferrothorn, it can 100% run through your team. especially with a combination of iron barbs and rocky helmet, so that anything that's trying to make physical contact with it will take a ton of damage. That on top of like the spike damage it will take from stealth rock or spikes when it switches in, the damage on this will rack up incredibly fast, especially with leech seed as well. This thing has so many utility moves. It's actually like quite insane. And this is also the first part of a grass fire water core that I decided to draft. Last time I did a draft, I drafted the Dragon Steel Fairy core of Latios, Mega Scizor, and Clefable. I want to switch things up, do Grass Fire Water this time, so Ferrothorn was the starting bit for that. So that's Ferrothorn. The next Pokemon I decided to draft after Ferrothorn, Gliscor. Now Gliscor actually, again, another very good defensive Pokemon. It has a really good defensive typing with ground and flying. It has Roost and Toxic Heal to stick around, so it's going to be difficult to take them, because of course Toxic Heal, you heal when you're poisoned. You can get it to hold the Toxic Orb item and immediately poison itself, and then it can start to heal off of that. And of course this is another Pokemon that has access to Stealth Rock. I do like Gliscor a lot, but I have fought against this many times and it has been very, very annoying for me to take out because I just was not well prepared for it. So looking at him is a little bit intimidating, but I've used him before and he was quite fun, even if I didn't bring him to too many fights. He was brilliant, and also he just has like surprisingly good attack and speed. 95 base 95 attack and base 95 speed. I guess it's a defensive Pokemon that's also fast, and that's gonna be really annoying, difficult to deal with. It does also get Defog to remove hazards, but unfortunately, the ability Toxic Heal and the move Defog are not compatible, so I actually can't learn both of those at the same time, which is a shame, because it kind of makes it. It means if I want something that can remove hazards, like if I want Gliscor to be able to remove hazards, I have to take away its best way to heal. Even if I still have Roost, Toxic Heal is more consistent, which sucks, but you know what, it is what it is. I can always run leftovers on it if I feel like being a bit different or something like that. But yeah, the real reason another reason why I have Gliscor here is because my first pick was initially going to be Landorus Therian, but of course that is one of the best Pokemon in this metagame, and so of course, and you need to have you have to be like top 3 picks in order to draft this Pokemon, because it just gets grabbed right away, and I was 9th pick throughout this, so I knew there was no chance. So I did not get Landorus Therian, which is a shame because I wanted to replicate a similar core that I did last time I did an Omega Ruby Alpha Sapphire tournament, where I paired Landorus with Mega Manectric to have like a U-turn U-turn and Volt Switch core paired with paired with their Intimidate, so I could just switch them in and out and keep using Intimidate on stuff, and it was annoying to deal with. I didn't use it too well because it was one of my first draft leagues, but I was hoping to get to use it again. Not this time, but maybe in a different league I'll get the chance, hopefully. And of course Gliscor is still not a bad option. I'm looking forward to using him very much. So next Pokemon I'm going to talk about is the 4th Pokemon that I've drafted, my Mega Pokemon, Mega Sableye. Now Mega Sableye was initially not on my first drafted team, but I'll explain that later. Yeah, the main reason I drafted Mega Sableye was because I needed a Ghost type, because the Ghost types in Gen 6 are actually like pretty bad. The only good ones are like Chandelure, Gengar, and Mega Sableye. And Gengar got taken quite early, and I didn't really want to draft Chandelure, so Mega Sableye just kind of had to be it. I have Magic Bounce. One of the big reasons I like Mega Sableye is it has Magic Bounce, which will reflect non-damaging moves back at the opponent who used them. So if something tries to use Thunder Wave at me, I'll bounce it back and they'll get paralyzed. The same thing with Burning and Toxic. But the best thing about it is it actually reflects Stealth Rock and Spikes back. So if I think something is going to be trying to set up Stealth Rock, I can switch in Mega Sableye, or I can evolve it into Mega Sableye if it's already out, and then the Stealth Rock will be set up on the opposing side instead. So it's basically just like an anti hazard tool with a lot of other utility well, and that is like the type of thing you need in this draft, in this format. So I'm very happy to have been able to pick up Mega Sableye. Of course, if I don't feel like Mega Evolving, I can use the Prankster ability to get off priority moves that don't deal any damage. Stuff like Will-O-Wisp, Taunt, Recover, Toxic, stuff like that. And of course, like I said, this thing gets good utility. Knock off Will-O-Wisp, Taunt, like I said, and of course Recover to heal itself up. Because this is very nicely defensive. It's only weak to Fairy, which is very, very nice. So it'll be difficult to take it down, especially with the fact it can heal. I initially had Mega Manectric in my first draft, because like I said, I wanted to do the Landorus Manectric core. And even after Landorus got taken, turn 1, I was like, you know what, I'm still going to draft Manectric, so it'll be fun. But then as the draft went on, more and more ghost types got taken, and I decided, no, I need to draft a ghost type that's actually like decent. So when draft was ended, I used the grace period to swap out Mega Manectric for Mega Sableye. I was very lucky it didn't get taken, because if it didn't, I might have been stuck with a very bad ghost type like Dusclops or something like that. Not that that's particularly a bad Pokemon, it's just that I don't want to have to bring a not great ghost type to nearly every game. Because I value ghost types a lot in draft. I think they're very important to have to block Rapid Spin, to be immune to normal and fighting moves, and generally just to beat other ghost types. I think they're very, very nice. To get in draft, I would recommend always grabbing a ghost type in draft. But yeah, that was Mega Sableye, the 4th Pokemon I drafted. Then when turn 5 came around, the next Pokemon I decided to draft was Terrakion. Terrakion is, first of all, a resistance to Stealth Rock, which is important in this metagame, because like I said, you know, Stealth Rock is very prevalent. Having a Pokemon that can resist Stealth Rock is very nice. And of course, it's a fast and it's a strong physical attacker. It hits super hard with Close Combat, Stone Edge, and a bunch of other good coverage moves as well, like a Well Charge, Iron Head, Poison Jab, all sorts of stuff like that. And of course, the stab typing of Rock and Fighting are both very good stab options, because the Rock moves will hit the fighting types that... the Rock moves will hit the flying types that Fighting is not very effective against. It has Iron Head and Poison Jab to hit the Fairy types, Wild Charge to hit the Water types, stuff like that. And also because I've used Terrakion before, and I didn't know how to properly use it, and it flopped, and I wanted to give it another chance. So I decided to draft it again, and also because I wanted a strong fighting type. I initially had Mienshao on the team, but that got taken, so instead I went with Terrakion, and I think it's pretty cool. And so yeah, that was Terrakion, and after Terrakion, the next Pokemon that I decided to draft was Moltres. Moltres. Moltres was actually only cost 7 points in draft, and when I first saw that, I was very surprised, because this Pokemon is quite good defensively. It's got a decent defensive typing. It's bulky. It's got access to Will-O-Wisp and Flame Body to burn the opponents, and Will-O-Wisp is a lot more threatening in Gen 6 because because when you're burned, you actually take a lot more damage than you normally do. You take 12.5. You lose an 1/8 of your health every turn when you're burned, rather than the 16th that it is now. So I was surprised to see that this big bulky fire type that is very easily able to burn opponents was so low down. And it's because it's fire flying type, it is 4 times weak to rock, so when you switch it in while Stealth Rock is up, it will take 50% of damage, 50% of its health will be immediately taken away. So that'll be the reason why it's so low, because if you switch it in, it loses half of its health, and especially if it's switching it into an attacking move, it has a very good chance of just dying immediately. So it's very, very difficult to position. If you don't have if there's no hazards up on your side, then you're good to go. But chances are there will be, so it's very difficult to position this Pokemon correctly. But I wanted to give it a try because I've used Moltres before and I really liked it, and I really want to use it again. So I'm hoping and praying that I will be able to use it effectively. And It is known for being defensive, but it does actually still have good attack and speed. I believe it's 100. Yeah, it has 100 speed, and I think it has 95 special attack and 85 attack, which are both respectable. You know, flamethrowers and hurricanes, and I think it gets Brave Bird in this generation, are gonna hit hard. And I also just like Moltres. It's very cool. So I am very much looking forward to using it once again. And of course, this is the second part of my Grass, Fire, Water core that I decided to draft, because, you know, it pairs well with it pairs pretty well with Ferrothorn. It takes the fighting and fire moves that Ferrothorn is weak to, and Ferrothorn takes the rock moves and the water moves that Moltres is weak to. So they're a very nice pairing. So yeah, that's Moltres. Yeah, respect the cool text, the fire cool text generator, by the way. Very fancy, very cool fire animation. Yeah, it's very, very awesome. I'm sure you all think so. But yeah, we're gonna move on. The seventh Pokemon I decided to draft. Thundurus Therian. Thundurus Therian. I've used Thundurus Incarnate before, and I didn't get a whole lot of success with it, but I still enjoyed using it. And I would say Thundurus Therian is probably better, because it is, it's not faster, but it is a lot stronger. It's got 145 special attack, which is insane, and it's got a very good, amazing coverage options. It's got its, of course it has Thunderbolt and Volt Switch for its stab typing moves, and it has moves like Focus Blast, Flash Cannon, I think it gets Weather Ball. Weather Ball is a fun option. Stuff like that. It gets hidden. Of course, we have access to Hidden Power as well. So even though this doesn't get a flying type move, like a good special flying type move, I could run Hidden Power on it if I'm desperate, which is quite nice. And of course, running other Hidden Power moves like Ice, Grass is going to be very nice for this Pokemon to hit the ground types that it is going to fear. Yeah, one of the problems with electric types is that ground types are going to be quite common, so it's going to be difficult trying to use Volt Switch to pivot around, but this Pokemon actually gets Volt Switch and U-Turn. So, if I want to be safe, I can put U-Turn on this Pokemon, and then I can feel free to just click U-Turn very safely, because there's nothing that's immune to Bug. So, having U-Turn on this is very nice. And of course, good speed tier, 101 speed is good. It's also got access to Nasty Plot, so it can increase its special attack even more. And if I really want to, it's got 115 at base attack. So if I want to, I could use a bulk up set and use physical moves like Thunder Punch, and other moves like that. It probably does actually get like decent flying type moves for like on the physical side. I think it might get Fly, and that's like obviously not good. It takes 2 turns to use, but you never know. You say Thundurus Therian is going to be very fun for me to use, because I can't say I'm a huge fan of its design, but I think it's very cool. I've seen Mr. Joey PokeAim use it in his most recent draft, and watching him use it I thought was pretty cool with all the cool sets that he used. Like, he's used a bulk up set, I believe, or he at least used a physical set. He used an Assault Vest set one time. I thought it was really cool, and I wanted to do stuff like that, so I decided to draft my Thundurus Therian. And of course it also gives me access to Volt Absorb to absorb electric type moves that I will be like annoying to pivot around. You know, it's like a different option for ground type if I really want to absorb the electric type moves. And of course I heal off of it too, which is very nice. This is also weak to Rock, of course. That's another Pokemon that's weak to Rock. But you know, like I said, we just kind of have to be careful with positioning it, and then it should be able to sweep with some good sets like Nasty Plot, Agility, Life Orb, stuff like that. We will wait and we will see though. After this is the 8th Pokemon I decided to draft next. Armaldo. Armaldo I drafted very early. This is round 8, so that doesn't sound very early, but It doesn't sound very early, but it's only cost 4 points, so this is very early to be drafting a Pokemon like this. And the reason I did it is because throughout this draft, I kept having a Pokemon that could click Rapid Spin to remove hazards, and they kept getting taken from me the turn before. Like the same round I was going to draft them, I tried to get one of the Hitmon. I think it was Hitmontop. I tried to get I think I was planning to get Excadrill. I was planning to get a bunch of other Pokemon too. I can't remember them right now, but I planned on getting different Rapid Spin options, and they kept getting taken from me, so I had to keep going for different Pokemon. I said Hitmontop, but I don't think I ever would have drafted Hitmontop because I already had Terrakion and I didn't want another fighting type. So eventually I decided that Armaldo was just probably the best choice for me. Even if it is another Pokemon weak to Stealth Rock, I feel like I needed it. I needed it. It was necessary, I think. But yeah, that was really the main reason I drafted Armaldo for Rapid Spin. But I do really like Armaldo, and I've never used it before. And I've always kind of disrespected it. Like, I've seen it and I've been like, oh, whatever, you know, Armaldo's whatever. But I want to see if I can make myself like her a bit more, because I think she is have a cool design, and I do want to use her in a draft format. And she's, even if she's like having to switch in and take a lot of damage from Stealth Rock after trying to remove them, she does still have other roles she can fill. She has very good attack. 125 attack is very good. It has an ability that doesn't let her be crit, called Shell Armor. And it actually has decent attacking moves. It's got Stone Edge and X Scissor, of course, for its stab typings of Rock and Bug. It's got Earthquake, and it also has Knockoff to remove items, which is very, very nice. So Armaldo is a Pokemon I'm hoping that I can make myself come to like more, because I do think she's cool, and I want to be able to put her to use in battle, even if she's not going to be in the best environment. We're going to see what I can do with her. So that was Armaldo, and then the next Pokemon I decided to draft. Finally, we have the third part of my Grass Fire Water Core, Gastrodon. And look, I finally drafted a Pokemon that resists Stealth Rock after drafting all those Pokemon that are weak to it. But yeah, Gastrodon basically is just a bulky water type. It is a water ground type, which is one of the best defensive typings in the game yet again. It's got very, very fun moves like Toxic and Recover and Scald that the opponent will absolutely love to see me use, because I will just Toxic your Pokemon and I will watch your health slowly dwindle down, and then as you think you finally got me, I will recover and I'll just gain all my health back, and your Stealth Rock isn't going to help you at all. Very annoying Pokemon to face, especially with the ability Storm Drain, so water moves actually do no damage, so this is actually a good switch-in, a decent answer for water types. Although, one thing I noticed about this Pokemon is when I drafted it, I thought it got Stealth Rock, but then I looked through its moveset, and I realised, oh, this Pokemon actually doesn't get Stealth Rock in this generation, which was upsetting to see, but you know, that wasn't the main reason I drafted it anyway, so it's fine. I'm still going to enjoy using my lovely Gastrodon, and we're going to see how they do. The Pokemon I decided to draft after Gastrodon was Gardevoir. Gardevoir is the obligatory fairy type in this team, because at Gen 6 you always need a fairy type. Fairy types is the best typing in the game, so you need a fairy type. So yeah, Gardevoir was my obligated fairy type, and I also just like Gardevoir. So I also just like Gardevoir. So why not? And she actually has a lot of cool stuff she can do. She has offensive sets with Calm Mind and cool coverage moves like Thunderbolt, Shadow Ball. She has her Moonblast and Psychic as well. And if I want to, I could make her bulky with a supportive set: Will-O-Wisp, Thunderwave, Encore. I think it gets Destiny Bond too, but yeah, stuff like that, etc, etc. So Gardevoir, I was surprised to pick this up actually, because I was expecting all the fairy types to be gone, and we're at round 10 at this point, I think. So I was surprised to see that this was still around, so I was very happy to pick it up. So that's Gardevoir. And then the Pokemon the Pokemon I decided to draft after that, Ludicolo. Ludicolo I drafted because I decided I needed an extra answer to water types, because he is I have Gastrodon to deal with water types, but Gastrodon can't do too much back at them because it doesn't have any super effective moves except for Hidden Power, but Hidden Power isn't really a move you want to run on the on Gastrodon, so I decided to draft Ludicolo instead as a second water type. And also as another grass type, because why not? You know, I like my Ludicolo, he does a funny little dance, and I love him, and I want to use him, so I'm using him. And he also gets Leech Seed, and that's funny. Okay, and then the final Pokemon I decided to draft for the Castelia Draft League was Ambipom. Ambipom, main reason for this was to fill in a speed tier that I was missing. I had a big gap between 105 speed and 125. So I needed something between 115 and 105 to fill in that speed gap. And Ambipom fit because it was a normal type. It had a typing that I don't have, which is normal. And I think it was actually pretty decent. It's not as good as I thought it is actually, because I checked its moveset after I drafted it and I realized it actually doesn't get access to a lot of the moves that it does now. It doesn't get arm thrust, or I don't think it gets I don't think it even has tail slap in this generation. It only has fury swipes. I think it might actually get a different normal type move that hits like multiple times. But I can't actually remember because I might be misthinking this, but I don't think it actually gets. It doesn't get a lot of the moves that I thought it got. It doesn't get Bullet Seed or Arm Thrust. So this isn't as good as I thought it was. It wasn't as good as I thought it was going to be when I drafted it, but it still has a lot of very nice things. It has the ability Technician to boost its weaker moves like Fake Out, Pursuit, Power Up Punch, stuff like that. It's got utility, like I said, with Fake Out and U-Turn, and it also gets Knockoff, which is very nice. And it's got some other very cool coverage options. It's got Seed Bomb, it has Fire Punch and Thunder Punch and Ice Punch. And you know, 105 speed, 115 speed, 115 attack isn't something to scoff at. It's fast and it can deal a lot of damage, even if it's not the best Pokemon to be doing it with. It's not something to scoff at. So yeah, Ambipom. Also because Ambipom, I looked at it and I was like, you know what? It's a funny little guy. I want to use it. So I'm here and I'm using it. So that was the last Pokemon that I decided to draft. So that means that as a whole, my team is Ferrothorn, Gastrodon, Ambipom, Ludicolo, Weavile, Mega Sableye, Moltres, Thundurus Furion, Terrakion, Armaldo, Gliscor, and Gardevoir. That's not the order I drafted them in, that's just the order that I looked at them on this slide. But that is it. As a whole, I do like this team. It's got a lot of really cool Pokemon that I like and a lot of ones that I'm excited to use. And I think it is decently built as well. It's got good defensive Pokemon, even if they struggle against stuff like Stealth Rock. It's got good offensive Pokemon. Weavile and Terrakion on their own are going to be... Sorry, Weavile and Thundurus and Terrakion are going to be very annoying to deal with because they just hit so hard for no reason. And the defensive Pokemon like Mega Sableye, Moltres, Ferrothorn, Gliscor are going to be difficult to break through as well. The main problem with this team, I think the big problem with this team, is the fact that a lot of my Pokemon are very weak to Stealth Rock, and I only have 2 Pokemon that resist it. Moltres, Thundurus, Weavile, and Armaldo are all weak to Rock, and that is a problem because a lot of them are my... First of all, Weavile and Thundurus are suddenly put into bad conditions because they're already very frail. But if they lose 25% of their health by switching in, then that's a problem because they are even more susceptible to being knocked out immediately. Especially because it means that their Focus Sash, if they're holding a Focus Sash, then it won't be activated because it's lost some of its health. So that'll be more difficult to use. And of course, my Pokemon that's able to remove hazards, Armaldo being weak to hazards isn't good. And Moltres being one of my key defensive pieces, also being able to lose 50% of his health just by switching in is going to be a big problem. And my only resists to it are Ferrothorn and Terrakion, and Gastrodon as well. But that means there's going to be a lot more pressure on those three to be the defensive powerhouses that I need. I do have other options to remove hazards other than just Armaldo, of course. I have Defog on Moltres and Gliscor. Although, like I said, Gliscor can't be paired with Poison Heal, and Moltres, if it wants to remove hazards, it'll have to switch in and take a lot of damage from those hazards, so it's usually not worth it, because it'll just die. Although Mega Sableye will be key here to prevent hazards from going up. I think it's a good team and I like it, but it's not the best team I've ever drafted. It's not amazing. Even if I like it a lot, it's not amazing. It's not very good. Well, I mean, it's good. I'd say it's good, but it's not. It's like a 6, maybe a 6.5 out of 10 at best. But I still like it a lot, and I have faith, and I'm going to be able to do some really cool stuff with this Pokemon, and I really look forward to using them all. And you know what? As long as I'm having fun, that's all that matters. I will be making weekly battles to this for this league. In fact, I am actually obligated to post them by Sunday, by the end of Sunday for every week. So you can expect weekly content out of this from me. I will also be trying to be a bit more. Put in a bit more effort when it comes to editing these videos and the stuff that I put into them, because as you can already tell, the graphics for this are more improved by the other one, the last draft I just did, and the coverage videos of like my team for each week, and the battles will hopefully be more edited and will look more high effort, especially with the resources that I've been given to make them look better, like this background that has the gold outline, and the background, the logo of the league in the background looks really nice. And they have the moderators of this are providing many other resources for us to use while making our videos, which is very kind of them, and I appreciate them a lot for that, because I'm not the most creative person in the world. So I'm glad I've been given resources to be able to do that with. But yeah, that's my team for the Pokemon Castelia Draft League tournament. Or Castelia, you know what I mean. So yeah, I think that will be me for this video. I should be coming out with a video on the first week soon enough. So I hope you guys enjoyed this, and look forward to the following content that I will be churning out weekly. Okay, so that will be it for me. Goodbye for now.